Hello, everybody. Royce Eddings here, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me on my Royce in the House YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. Love the live chat. Thank you all in the live chat. I just put a link up. I have a link up. Someone wants to join us. I know Paulina was going to join us. Kate, if you want to come on, jump on in here, girls. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be covering one of my favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite Beatles albums in particular, and that is the iconic UK Parlophone pressing of Revolver. I'm going to show you, I'm going to show this real quick before I continue. Okay, here's my UK pressing. As you can see up here, mono. This is the mono version. I know we talked about mono versus stereo and things like that, but this is the original. This is the original. And David put it very well when he said, you listen to mono every time you listen to an AM radio station. That's exactly right. But anyway, mono stereo regardless, it is the UK pressings that were the best recordings and actually the most valuable as far as collectors go. Okay, what are we doing here? Okay, so all right, let's see. We've got somebody joining us here. Hello, Paulina.
Hey, Royce.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And of course, we're talking about my UK Parlophone early pressing, pristine vinyl, I might add. You know, I just listened to this 3 times. I have a little record player here in my office that my daughter bought me. Got a big one out in the living room, but it's nice to just sit in here and turn the volume down a little bit and listen. So anyway, looks like I put something up there I wasn't planning on putting up. That background. Okay, let's see. Give me a second here, folks. Give me a second. I got to get rid of that. Okay. Let's see. Well, that certainly didn't get rid of it. Okay, yeah, I've been preparing for an upcoming show on Yellow Submarine. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go down here to my settings. I'm going to have to go into virtual background and hit none. No virtual background. You know, that didn't work for some crazy reason. So we'll continue. I'll mess with that later. It's not worth messing with now. So anyway, we're talking about the actual masterpiece Revolver. Is Revolver, Paulina, one of your top albums?
Oh, definitely. I feel like it's one of those albums that totally turned the tide around for the Beatles as far as their recording.
Yes, right.
Happens.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, and you know the Beatles existed from 62 to 70. Revolver was their 7th studio album, released on August 15th, 1966. It's a final recording project before they retired from performing live. No, you know, no more live concerts, no more tours, nothing. And it marked a progression from the 65 release of Rubber Soul. And what I mean by that, and I love that album too, you know, that people go back and forth when it comes to their favorites between about 4 different albums, but it marked the, you know, the progression of the 65 release of Rubber Soul in terms of the group's readiness to experiment in the recording studio. Okay. The album's diverse sounds included tape loops, backwards recordings, on the psychedelic Tomorrow Never Knows, a classical string octet, 8-stringed instruments all playing on Eleanor Rigby, the Indian music backing on Love You Too. I actually love that. It must be the sitar, but it's real present in that song. And let's see, the album was reduced to 11 songs by Capitol Records in North America, where 3 of its tracks instead appeared in a June 66 release, Yesterday and Today, which had no UK equivalent whatsoever. It was just an American thing. Okay. But the Beatles recorded the album following a 3 months break from professional commitments at the start of 1966 is when the recordings were taking place. Okay, the songs reflect the influence of psychedelic drugs such as LSD and the increasing sophistication from material, increasing, I'm sorry, getting tongue-tied, sophistications of the Beatles lyrics, okay, to address themes such as death, transcendence from material concerns, with no thoughts of having to reproduce their new material in concert, because they were doing a lot of experimenting, and it's awful hard to do live, okay? The band made liberal use of studio techniques such as vari-speeding, reverse tapes, close audio miking, automatic double tracking, or ADT, in addition to employing musical instrumentation outside of their standard live setup. Okay, so some of the changes in the studio practice introduced by Revolver, particularly the ADT, okay, were soon adopted, throughout the recording industry. And I'm sure, Paulina, you've got, let me see what's going on here. Just give me one sec. Just the facts. Dan, how you doing, brother? I'm gonna throw another link up. Michael Nolan was here right before we got started, and we were chatting back and forth before the show started, and the show has started, and I don't know where Michael went. Something must have happened, but I've got a link here, Michael. If you need the link, just the facts, Dan, brother. Dan, I don't know if you know this, Paulina, but just the facts, man. Dan has been my co-host for a very long time. And he had a little medical procedure done. He's not quite ready to come back on, but we'll go ahead and say hi to James Watson. We want to say hi to Dan Goucher. Hey, Dan, great to see you, buddy. And so many people. Vinyl Guy 62 has joined. Jeff Davidson, brother Jeff Davidson. Jeff Davidson was actually my motivation for even starting to do any of these shows. And that's another story. Music Sanctuary's here. Safe and Sound Texas, I just put up a link. Please hit that link and come on out. Here's Michael. Dang it. Hey, Michael, what are you waiting for, my link or what?
Brother, I'll tell you what. I'm a walker, not just a talker, and I turned out my knee the other day. So I've been hobbling in the studio to get this done, that done,
Right.
So sorry for the late show.
Oh, no worries. My knee actually acts up a bit too. As you can see, I have a background right now, which was
it's wonderful.
Preparation for next week's show.
I feel so professional, Royce. No, really. Look at this guy.
No. But the only problem is I can't remove it.
Well, no bother. Don't even bother.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think it's quite appropriate. And everybody that's watching right now, each of you go to tell two friends, and then they'll tell two friends. Then they'll, that whole thing,
Yeah. George,
tell them Royce is looking professional tonight.
Dan's in the chat.
Hey,
there's
Dan.
a lot of people here.
Miss the hell out of you, Dan. I'll tell you what. All right, David's here.
David. Okay.
He'll help save the day too.
Well, I got you all here. I want to give some shout outs to my co-host tonight. Everybody needs to go to Paulina Angel Plus's channel and check her out. She's got a great channel, extremely knowledgeable. You're going to want to subscribe when you get there. I know I did without hesitation. Then directly below me, we have David, Safe and Sound, Texas Audio Excursion. He's got a fantastic show. I just watched your latest show, David, about soundtracks and Talking Heads. And I mentioned, you probably haven't seen my comments yet, but I mentioned the soundtracks that I have. And I do have that Rocky Horror Picture soundtrack you mentioned. I have that on a picture disc. Wow. Yeah.
I saw it too, David. I left a comment telling you my daughter. Yeah, because I saw that you had responded. That my daughter, she's 24, and she still goes to Midnight Rocky midnight
Oh,
shows. I
yeah.
mean, I think I said in that comment, I told David, I said, it's become an American tradition.
It is
At this point,
it is an
you know,
absolute cult classic. I think I've seen
yeah.
it at least twice. And if it comes on, I'll go see it again. It's just nothing like it.
You know what's weird is about a few years later after The Wall came out, I went to see that, and I'll be shit. They had Rocky Horror that night in the next theater. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, that's great. Well, like I was saying, Revolver continued the progression that was started by Rubber Soul. And they deployed all kinds of in-studio techniques and tricks. For example, let's see.
Well,
Tape loops, backwards recordings, Indian music. The album was like I mentioned, the album was reduced to 11 songs by the USA. They always had a tendency to slam everything down, and but that ended soon. That ended with this album. This was the last one that they did that on. So anyway, so the Beatles recorded albums following a 3-month break from professional commitments. I'll just try to get through my little preparation here, then we can just kind of go crazy. Okay, the songs reflected the influence of psychedelic drugs such as LSD and increasing sophistication of the Beatles' lyrics to address themes including death, transcendence from material concerns. The band made liberal use of studio techniques such as vari speeding, reverse taping, closed audio miking, automatic double tracking, in addition to employing musical instrumentation outside of their standard setup. Some of the changes in audio practice introduced by Revolver, particularly the ADT, was adapted throughout the music industry. Okay, so they were definitely trendsetters from day one. The sessions also produced a non-album single, Paperback Writer. Okay, and in the UK, Revolver's 14 tracks, as I already mentioned, were released to radio stations throughout 1966. And you know what? And a famous author, Ian MacDonald, later described Revolver as the second coming of pop revolution. And I think that's a pretty big statement there, the second coming of the pop revolution. That's the kind of groundbreaking album that this was. Okay, let me scroll down.
You know what, Royce? Speaking of that exact same thing, today when I was kind of looking over, the whole Revolver experience in prep
Yes.
for your show,
Right.
You say it was this groundbreaking thing, and I agree with you. But it was several groundbreaking things in America.
Right.
It was an album dominated by Paul. I said in the past, I don't know where. Sometimes my mouth keeps talking while my brain tells it to park. But
that happens to me always.
I had said that in America, they had taken off. She said, and tomorrow never knows what I meant to say, and I'll correct it here and they humbly, beg your forgiveness for that little faux pas. But they did worse than that, actually, in some ways, because those two tracks being on the American album was essential. Matter of fact, they were, to me, with that and Eleanor Rigby, they were the groundbreakers.
Yes.
But I received my first album in America, just like everybody else did. And what they did was they took off 3 of Lennon's songs, Dr. Robert, I'm Only Sleeping, and what was the other one?
Yesterday.
And Your Bird Can Sing. Thank you very much. And they replaced it with only one John song, one of his best from Help, and one of Paul's best from Help. And I did say this the other week. When you listen to that album, it has a flavor to it. So it was groundbreaking because here in America, it was a folk rock, walk about town,
Yes, right.
But in Britain, But and that meant that Paul had 7 songs, John had 3, and George had 3. Whoa! Because in Britain it was released, and now what we had was, instead of John, it was a 6-5 split, with George maintaining his 3. I had to look at my notes, but now think about it.
Right.
Now think about it. Those 3 songs, and they're not my 3 favorite John Lennon songs. I think part of the problem I had with really gravitating when I finally went over to the British version was those 3 songs, because they sounded more jangly, like stuff coming out of Help. The lyrics, not so much, but the jangle. But here's the thing. We got a whole different story, and it did paint the album different. And it was that kind of groundbreaking over in Britain. But historically speaking, we found out that it wasn't even slightly tipped in Paul's favor.
Okay.
This album was written 50-50 by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. If you look into the information regarding who wrote what, and then weigh the disagreements, and you'll find out Paul and John wrote this 50-50 with George coming up with 3. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
So history has given us another viewpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do.
That's why this album is art.
Okay. Okay.
You know me, Royce.
Yeah,
and
no.
And onward soldiers, and all of that. But no, seriously, true art. David, what do you think? True art should breathe.
I think McCartney had a mole at the Capitol, but
yeah. Well, and he was flying out to Capitol quite a bit in those days, wasn't he?
Yeah. Somewhere.
Well, meeting a little Linda on the side.
Like I mentioned, in the U.S., it was the last Beatles album to be subject to Capitol Records changing the order of the songs and actually dropping songs. Okay, that was the last time that happened.
Yeah, it was
double the running order and the content was always changed by Capitol. Yeah. But the release there coincided with the Beatles' final concert tour. We talked about this before. They just toured for a little over 2 years, which was marred by the controversy. John Lennon's statement, we're more popular than Jesus. Wherever he said that. Yeah, more popular.
Which was totally taken out of context. That was from an article an interview he did with Maureen Cleave, a kind of hot female rock writer at the time and good friends to the Beatles. And it was released months before America got a hold of the damn quote.
Right.
And everybody in Britain settled down. They got the almost dry humor of the statement and the irony. Yeah. Because that's what John was shooting for when he said that it was more of a irony that we're more popular than Jesus.
No,
because
I read
England, it was a fact,
Right.
Right.
Well, the album chart, the record topped the UK album chart for 7 weeks, and America's Billboard top LPs list for 6 weeks. And together with the children's novelty song, Yellow Submarine, and Eleanor Rigby, it became an international hit when they issued that as a double A-sided single. I love the way they say a children's novelty song, Yellow Submarine, because I was going to save this for next week's Yellow Submarine review. But the truth is, my father had a song that he used to bounce me and my younger brother on our knees when we were little and sing to us, and it was them old cotton fields back home,
Oh, me too, Royce.
When I was a little bitty baby, and I used to, in the cradle, and I used to sing that to my kids too. It's just stuck in my head from all those years as an infant. But
I used to sing that song in my dad's band, by the way.
Did you?
That and a song called "Everywhere You Go." From the time I was 4.
My dad used to play it and strum the guitar. He actually had talent. It didn't get passed on. Well, it did my younger brother, but it kind of skips every other one, But so I used to sing. The other song I used to sing to my babies was "We All Live in a Yellow Submarine." So when I read that they were calling it a children's thing, I mean, I could really relate to that, because it was kind of to me. But I don't think there's a song. Well, anyway, I'm not going to talk about Yellow Submarine. Let's continue here. Okay, Revolver cover artwork designed by Klaus Worman won the 1967 Grammy Award for Best Album Cover. That's pretty impressive too. And the album was.
We could do a whole show on Klaus Vorman.
Yeah, right.
You know, multi-talented and kind of in the background to the casual fans, but anybody in the know knows Klaus Vorman.
Right.
Has left a pretty damn huge thumbprint on music.
Right. Well,
as a musician as well.
In '87, they put the 3 tracks back on when they released a CD release. Okay, so Revolver as the Beatles' best album, surpassing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The album was ranked first in Colin Larkin's book of all-time 1,000 albums, ranked first. I think that's incredible. You know, it's like every week I'm talking about a different Beatles album, and it's all like every one of them is like the greatest album of all time. It's just,
the thing about this album that makes it great, that not many people really talk about it, and I feel like people really should, is that this album was the first album that they had Jeff Emmerich as their new chief engineer. Norman Smith has been their chief engineer from the time that they recorded the first version of Let Me Do all the way to the end of the Rubber Soul session.
That's right.
And get this, everybody. Jeff Emmerich was only 20 years old when he stepped in as chief engineer on this album. He was only 20 years old. He was 16 when he was hired at EMI, but he was 20. So it was basically him plus this other technical engineer named Ken Townsend who worked at EMI Studios, that they were able to make John and Paul's fantasies come true with this album, because John wanted his vocals to sound like he was singing from the foothills of Tibet. He landed on the rope on Tomorrow Never Knows, whereas Paul wanted his bass to sound like James Jamerson. He wanted that kind of Motown in your face bass sound. So it was the engineers that really shined on this album more than the Beatles themselves, because then this album had such a dynamic sound to it that it just totally set itself apart from the previous albums that were happening.
Well, you're absolutely right. I've done videos on the Beatles team that really, that were so responsible for separating them from the pack. Now, Led Zeppelin had such a team, but it was smaller, more compact, more inner sleeve, But the Beatles had, I mean, from management, and say what you will about Brian Epstein and his mistakes, he got him there. All right. He saw the talent and he knew how to present it. What a brilliant, brilliant move for that alone. And he still made him tons of money. He could have made him more, but the team was unsurpassed, Royce.
Yeah. Guys, I got to tell you, and I'm talking to all my co-hosts right now. I don't know where I could find 3 people more knowledgeable about the Beatles. I really don't. All 3 of you never cease to amaze me. When I was talking about Revolver being the greatest album of all time, what I really was trying to say was many critics and fans consider it to be the greatest value. Well, I wasn't saying that I think it's the greatest, but a lot of people do, and I think it's right up there. And I tell you what, I think I'm like the rest of you. My favorite seems to change around with the bands I like the most. I don't care whether it's the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones. If you ask me on a given year, in a given year, given month, even a given week, I might have a different answer for you, because that's I sat down today and I listened to Revolver 3 times, right here, sitting right in this chair, and yesterday I listened to it I think twice, along with Abbey Road and along with Rubber Soul. And I tell you what, you can come away with a little different perspective every time you listen to 3 great albums.
Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
respect them all, and that's the thing. You got to respect
Yeah,
them
that's
all
exactly right.
for their own power. Their
And
own
and
value.
you kind of hear things you didn't hear the last time every time you listen to them. I mean, I do anyway.
Oh, you see, that's part of what I was talking about before.
Right?
Art grows. Every
Art
generation
grows.
discovers
I love that.
something. Yeah, well, think about all of the revelations in documentaries that we've gotten over our lifetime, Royce, on the Mona Lisa. Now, I don't know if you're a big
Right.
documentary watcher. I am, right? But so many new appreciations for that painting in the 20th century raised it up even higher, and it was
Yeah.
already amongst the gods of art, right? And
Oh,
it
yeah.
it's still breathing is my point.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I feel the Beatles will still be listened to, all right,
Oh,
in
yeah.
200 years at least, is because their music is still talking to us. And anybody that gives it a real positive, 100% listen, almost like you're going into it for the first time. I always try to find the time and the headspace to listen to these classic albums
Right.
under those
Right.
conditions. Otherwise, I don't bother. They're not albums to just listen to in the background. We're talking about art, people. Our generation's art. I know I keep saying that, but I believe it.
No. That's right. We got a few new people joined us. Angela, hadn't had a chance to thank you for coming tonight, Angela, and also Gloria, my good friend Gloria has joined us, and my good friend Steve Midtham. We were all on another show together at one time. Him and I and Kate and Jeff Davidson and just the Fax Man, and anyway, so we all got to know each other a few years ago. So anyway, thank you guys all so much for showing up. As I said, Jeff Davidson's saying hi to Gloria, and we're all in that show together. And Jeff Davidson and competition Jeff Davidson and I had between each other showing vinyl. And the winner gets free records, right? Free albums. I lost the competition, but it motivated me. I got motivated to actually start this show from that competition with Jeff.
Yeah.
And I started out just doing some album unboxing, and then all of a sudden some people jumped in as co-hosts and we went live, and the rest is history. We're still chopping away at it and having a great time too. And folks, I just want to say I want to thank all my subscribers so much, and everybody that's watching, subscriber or not, I really appreciate all of you. I know my analytics when I check out my analytics. Actually, a little more than half of the people that watch my show, not necessarily live, but as time goes on throughout the week and following day after the show, etc. I know that a little more than half the people that watch the show aren't subscribers. And I just want to ask everybody right now, if you haven't subscribed, the show's been growing. We're up to 825 subscribers, and that's a pickup of 20 plus over the last few days. And we want to keep growing. We want to reach those milestones. We want to get recognized as YouTube. We want them recommending us when people are searching for shows to watch. So, and that subscribing and hitting that like button, all of that stuff helps. So help a brother out. If you haven't subscribed already,
That's right.
Like what you're seeing, help a brother out and subscribe to the show. Thank you very much.
And that thumbs up, it drives the algorithm.
Last I'm going to say on that tonight. Yes, it does. Yeah, and that's when you really get the algorithm starts to notice you. Tens of thousands of people every day go looking for something to watch on YouTube. And if your content is anywhere near a match, if you're getting a lot of views, a lot of subscribers, thumbs up, you may be one of the channels that gets recommended, and that helps to grow the channel once again. So anyway, that's about it. And the Revolver was certified platinum in the UK, and it's been certified 6 times platinum by the Recording Association of America. The UK actually had to change their rules to do it, though. Let's see. After the British phonographic industry changed their rules, it's it finally got awarded platinum in the UK. So anyway, that's pretty much my little opening monologue for lack of better words. We seem to be in a little different arrangement. Okay, that's where we want to be.
You're large. That's why.
Yeah, things are really changing on me during this show.
David,
So anyway,
Yes.
what just happened?
I don't know.
Did you feel that?
Yeah,
Ooh.
that was something else.
Oh,
so
I thought
Paulina, obviously you have Revolver. Do you have a UK press?
I have like the 2014 mono from the mono box
Okay,
set.
yeah, nice.
I also got the mono that came from the Revolver set as well. So
Okay, cool.
what do you think of the mono mix?
It's charming. I do like listening to it in mono as well. There, because there are like a lot of things that are present in the mono mix that is not entirely present in stereo, but there's also things in
Vice
stereo
versa.
that's not present
Right.
in mono. So both of them are a must have. Like you get like two different types of ways of looking at the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love the way you answered that question. It's charming. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, and Paulina, they just put so much more time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, now when you compare it to the new stereo mix, I'm a big fan. The only thing I was never a fan of was the old stereo mix. I would deliberately have to place my speakers in a place because I usually sit down, listen, or whatever, and I like to use headphones a lot of times, and all of those mixes are just horrid through headphones unless I tend to, and I don't want to do that,
Right.
So I love the new stereo mix, but they put weeks. I think the time period was 3 weeks mixing the mono mix for this album and 3 days to mix the stereo mix, and it shows. It really does.
And also the thing is like even after they're done with the mix of Revolver, they sent one mix out to the plant to press it, and then I think about like a couple days later, George Warren ended up phoning Jeff Emmerich saying, "Hey, we need to switch out the remix of Tomorrow Never Knows. We need to go back to mix 8,
Right.
They're at mix 11, so
Right.
even they're still working on it, even when it was already at the plant mix.
Yeah.
And they pressed like about I don't know how many, like 3 to 10,000 copies
Jeez.
already.
So
Oh, my
they didn't
goodness.
catch it in the test pressing. That's
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, and I'm pretty tied into their stories. That's why I come here, Royce. I come here to learn.
An education. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I get one. I get one every time any and all of you guys show up.
Paulina, have you ever heard the Horzu German version of Revolver?
Oh my God.
I've been dying to listen to those, and I feel like but I'm not ready to go down that rabbit hole yet, because then if I have to get the Horzu mix of this album, then I'm probably gonna have to get
Yeah, but
She's
Magical
afraid.
Mystery Tour, you have to have it for Magical Mystery Tour because it's only one with the true stereo on like 4 of those tracks.
Oh,
But
really?
This
That's
one,
a
this one
great
isn't that
point.
expensive though. This one isn't. It's like $40. It's not outrageous to buy.
Well, that's not like a
No,
deal killer.
no.
No.
And a couple of these just sound a little different than the OG UK. They sound just something's a little different. I'm not sure what it is,
Okay.
but
it's probably the way that the
mastering.
master the disc.
Yeah,
I think they used.
Wait a
direct
minute,
mastering.
David. You're saying you hear the difference, but you can't identify. Folks, wait a minute. First of all, this is David has some of the best ears. Yeah, I listen. I learned to mix and record and all of that stuff. And I'm telling you, when he does his videos, I always mad respect, you know, for his ear, what he picks up. And you're saying you can't quite hear it. That's amazing.
I can't quite pin it down as to what exactly about it is different. And it bugs me, Michael, believe me.
Well, what bugs me is my wife claims I can't hear anything.
There's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my problem.
Oh, Lord. Well, that's the secret to a long marriage. So I think you're better at it than you think.
Yeah. My wife and I actually met 37 years ago tonight, actually.
Oh,
we
happy anniversary, man.
37 years ago.
We celebrated our golden anniversary this year, our 50th.
Wow. You don't look that old, dude.
Thank you.
When did you get married? At 12?
Well, no, I was 13.
Okay.
It was
him and Hawk stole across the Mississippi River. Sorry, boy.
Hi, Gary. No.
Is your wife's name Becky?
Oh, David.
No, but it's close.
A few letters here or there.
Yeah, wait a minute. She switched those two.
Hey, Michael, by the way, it just hit me. I sent you an email in your Gmail with some new lyrics to Imagine by John Lennon.
Oh.
And it's about using their voices for AI.
Oh, I'll check it out.
Buddy. I wanted you to sing Imagine with those lyrics. I just remembered.
Okay.
Check it out. I'm serious.
Oh, Lord. Oh, okay. All right. I'll be on the lookout at it right after the stream, brother.
You know, guys, I just want to say one thing. I have never been on a show where I've seen a better live chat than what we have here. I mean, these guys that come to this chat, they're so much fun. They add so much to the show. They know so much. I learn from them, and I just really enjoy it. You know, and that's why from time to time I just have to pause and thank them all for being here. And when the new ones come on, I want to mention who they are and stuff like that, because they're just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like to show up here, Royce, is because the live chat down there.
Yeah, I know,
man. A couple of them, had me on the last couple. You know, they questioned what I said, and hey, I don't think that, and where I had to kind of rethink. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, I see. Okay, so they keep me on my toes.
Oh yeah, they keep me on my toes.
Sure.
That's why I have all you here for backup.
Yeah. You know, I was, it's funny living here in Texas, all the talk about guns. And the other day I said to somebody, I'm really surprised that the Beatles named an album Revolver. But
there's another whole show.
That's another whole show. Yes.
Happiness is a warm gun, Revolver, Shoot Me. Oh Lord. And more and more and more. That's a whole video. You know, the power of mythos there, folks. You know, Joseph Campbell wasn't too far off. For those of you who know who Joseph Campbell is, he's the writer of The Hero's Journey, which is more of a philosophical statement, but a truism in itself about each and every one of us. And we're made of certain kinds of archetypes and archetypical stories. Were the Beatles victims of their own mythology? Were there signs all along?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. I want to say to everybody,
I think I just wrote my next video on the Beatles.
Yeah, I've been really, really lax doing my little short pre-recordings. I have a whole list of them in StreamYard. I put the titles in there so I don't forget about them. There's no shows there yet, just the titles of them. But there's all kinds of stuff, man.
Well, and I
got to get cracking on that, man, because
well, you know what, Royce? Just a bit of advice. The more uploads you do, you're going to see a bump in subscribers as well.
Yeah.
You're going to get, and congratulations on the bump you've been experiencing. Yeah. Well deserved. And you're not just getting a bump there. your live streams, when I first started showing up on this, which was a year ago last May, all right, and I haven't been here for every episode, but you were getting 150 to 250 views, all right,
Yeah.
and then you graduated into the 250 views, and then you got to the 5, and now you're beating 5 often, right?
Right.
So
right.
look at those analytics too. There's a growth here happening.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Everybody get excited and join along. You know,
That's right. Well,
click
you know
that sub button.
that red and blue album that I started my little Beatles takeoff with, that's over 800 views.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the white albums in the 690s
Right.
a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, they're really picking up. They're really picking up. I'm real happy that people are enjoying it. I mean,
And your videos are growing over a 2 or 3 or 4 week period too. There's still growth in those, you know. So,
yeah, no, they've been like you, just exactly what you said. I mean, the red and blue, the first Beatles show I did a few weeks ago, hasn't stopped growing, you know.
right.
And the white album hasn't stopped growing. Sergeant Pepper's has slowed down. That one kind of surprised me. I thought it might grow a little more, but it is what it is. Everybody likes something different, you know.
Well,
but anyway, I appreciate it.
If they ever actually come out with anything on the red and blue, it'll probably take off again.
And that's supposed to happen in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But so anyway, yeah, there's supposed to be a box set they're coming out with on the red and blue.
Hey, why don't we wait to cover that on your channel for Halloween? We'll do it because that's going to be a horrid piece of crap. You know, I predict it. Oh, Lord.
You know what? You know what? Who else can get away with? Who else can get away with having a show on the Masterpiece Revolver with the backdrop of Yellow Submarine that I can't seem to get off my screen?
Yeah, like it's not even.
Which incidentally, somebody asked me last week in the chat, why don't you do a bad album? And that motivated me to. That motivated me to do Yellow Submarine, and I don't think it's a bad album myself.
Well, the newer release is really good.
And to get the, we're gonna watch this right after the show. It just came in today. Okay, this is the movie with the blue meanies, etc. And I also ordered a bunch of Yellow Submarine balloons. You know, some of them are 32 inches long.
Wow.
So anyway, and then I found out that I could put these backdrops on, and now I find out that I can't remove them. So anyway, we're still working through it.
You're just missing something.
This is an excellent. They redid this album or put other songs. It's really good, actually.
Yeah.
It really
Is that the remix from the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should replace throw the other one out and just replace it. All right. I'm sorry, but that's a wonderful album.
Yeah,
and then Yellow Submarine would go from number 13 out of 13 to somewhere close to 5 or 6, you know, maybe 7.
I think it's a fun album myself.
It's a masterpiece in that version to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that is Yellow Submarine. It's the story. It's this. They called it the song track. You know, I love the English, way of putting things. You know,
right.
You know,
right.
Ain't that a soundtrack?
Yeah, that's a good point. Steve Mintham just made about subscribing to a channel you enjoy watching. It doesn't cost a dime. Steve. It doesn't cost anything. All you're doing is helping the show that you enjoy watching to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But anyway, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
And you know what? As channels, we're hoping to get Royce to 1,000 so that he can monetize even and think of at least think of that as an option and other options. And and you know what? People who are doing that, folks, they're doing it to get some sort of reward. For me, anything I make on my channel, it's not the money. It's like you it's receiving something for something that you've done. And this, I feel the same way about subscribers. You know, it when somebody signs on to your channel, folks, you don't know how good you're doing Royce's art there. You know, because there are times when you feel like they like me. They honestly like me. And
Right.
then you
And
go
then a
dry
week
period.
goes by, and all that
Yeah.
happens is you lose 2 subscribers, and it's like,
Yeah.
why
And
do
you're
they
going,
hate me?
right. I got to rethink my life. I hate YouTube. Why am I even doing this crap? You know.
Yeah.
So let's save Royce from that destiny,
Yeah.
folks.
Plus, we gotta fund our hobby too a little bit. I mean,
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
the other side
Well,
of it.
and you know what? YouTube, yeah, when you do get to 1,000 and you apply to be monetized or join the YouTube partnership program, let me put it that
Right.
way, you wind up getting paid a little bit for every commercial they run.
Right.
And commercials don't run during a show like this. They run when somebody's watching it after the
Replay.
fact.
Right.
And maybe they'll start a commercial at the beginning that lasts a few seconds, and you can skip it if you just hit the button to skip it.
Right.
But you do start getting a little reimbursement for all the time and money and effort that you put into it. And and
Emphasis
people
on little.
yeah, emphasis on little, right?
Yeah. 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 You know, a whole lot's happened on YouTube lately.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not making half of what I was. And I was used to not even a third of what I was
Right.
last year.
Wow.
And a lot of that has to do with the economy and less companies even wanting to put out commercial content on YouTube right now.
Mm.
Right.
And Michael, for someone like you that's just reached 30,000 subscribers, that's really telling. I mean, there's not a lot of money in this, really.
No.
I
Right.
mean,
No, there's not. And I've always been honest about it. I started my channel to get it monetized. To be honest with you, I had done all the research, and I thought it would take me 3 years to get to 1,000 people. All right, I was prepared to put 3 years into the channel before I gave up. All right, that was like a promise I made to myself.
right.
And of
right.
course, and then it went here and then it went there. But here's the thing: I always, I'm a retired psychiatric nurse, musician, old salesman guy. I've got myself on a relatively fixed income. It's not bad, but this is my way. I tried retirement, folks, for way too long, and I was dying. So this is what I do for a living now.
Yeah. Well,
And so my retirement covers the basics, but what I do with this, and you know what, the amount of money I've made, I've put in back. I bought a new computer for the studio. I put it right back
right.
into this channel, right?
Well,
And Royce does the same thing, folks.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we get
I
into
haven't actually-
1,000. Even if he was making $10 a day, over a 30-day, that's a nice little tidy thank you. All right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
And Royce, I'll watch every damn commercial to fruition when we get you there, brother. I swear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
That sounds good.
solidarity.
Solidarity. So okay, so let's go around the room here, David.
Yeah.
What's your show been doing other than I've been watching your shows.
I've
but
been doing a
just
lot
from
of
you.
vinyl shootouts. I've been doing
Okay.
a lot of comparisons.
Okay.
And I've got more in the can. A friend of mine and I are going to be doing a double header shootout on Tears for Fears, probably
Okay.
a week from Thursday.
Awesome.
On Songs from the Big Chair and Seeds of Love on those 2 albums.
Oh, one of my favorite bands, David. Yeah. Look forward to that.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. I'm trying to plan a trip up to Analog Productions in Kansas to see Chad Cassim again. It was a year ago that I went, so it's time to head that way. I've got the Austin Records show coming at the end of September. A bunch of us are
Wow.
going to meet down at that. I went and saw a collection. I think I may have mentioned to you guys a few
Yes.
weeks ago in Houston.
Right.
And I'm going back down there after that show because I didn't even scratch the surface of looking at stuff. But now that I know what the scope that they have, I'm going to be more prepared, I think, to bring more home, so to speak, or to find some for some friends. I really enjoy, honestly, guys, people who I get to know through the channel who say, man, if I could only find fill in the blank. And then, I'll see it and I'll text them or call them, or they already said if it's under $40, buy it for, and I'll do that. And I don't,
Wow. That's
I
great.
don't, I don't
Well-
say, I don't make anything. I just charge them what it costs me to ship it and what I paid for it. That's it.
Wow.
Because that's the value, I think, of what we do, the service,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I think, I'm a big believer in paying it forward,
Yes.
Well, you mentioned the Austin Music Festival. I think I'm the
Record show.
Record
show. Yeah,
show.
record-
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like in a big convention hall?
Oh yeah,
or-
huge. One of the biggest in the
huge.
country.
Wow. Do you
It's
find
3 days. It's 3 days.
Do you find good buys there? Do you feel or?
You can.
Yeah.
It's more the uniquity of what you find than it
Okay.
is, in fact, the pricing. I mean, I bought a BC13 Beatles set there for $350 a UK near Mint.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the first day I went and I grabbed it because I knew it was a good deal and I wasn't going
Right.
to wait until Sunday to try and get $20 off,
Yeah, right.
No.
because I didn't know that it would have been there,
Right.
So
right.
so if you know what you're looking for, and over time I've learned who the sellers are, so I know where to go. And it gets to be interesting. Now a friend of mine's going to sell, and I'm actually going to sell some of my stuff there this year for the first time. Some of my duplicates and things that I have, because I have a lot of duplicates, and I
Do you?
don't I need to start because I don't have room for the new stuff.
Right. Right.
How many? I don't need 13 copies of Can't Buy a Thrill. So
I do that by accident sometimes, and I get home and I go,
I've done
"Damn
I
it!"
think we've all done that. That's what Discogs is for.
Right. Right. Well, I've gotten so particular with what I buy, but there's certain bands now that I'll just go out of my way and I'll just order stuff on, Tower Records or wherever, Amazon. But then there's others. I mean, I went into so many stores the other day, like antique stores that have vendors that keep the racks full of vinyl all the time, and I'll find some great stuff there. I was in one of them a couple of days ago in Cayucas. Huge antique store, always has just a ton of vinyl in there. And I went in there and I walked over and I have the red and blue albums that we just did a show on. I have the red and the translucent red vinyl, but I don't have the blue and the blue vinyl. So I walk in there and there's one sitting there right on the shelf right in front of me, and I go, oh my God, I've been looking for this. I snatched it down. Both sides of the first album were pristine, looked like brand spanking new. Side 3 the same way. I turned side 4 around and there was a scratch about that big on it. And I went, oh my God. And I know I have albums with scratches and they play right through, but sometimes they don't. So I asked the woman working there, I said, I'll pay for this. She wanted $40 for it. I said, I'll pay for this. I'll take it home. Can I bring it back if it doesn't play through that scratch? She goes, no. And she points to the no refund sign on the wall. And I got a little vinyl player. You can barely see it. It's right next to the guitars there. It's a little blue one right there, and with 2 little speakers, and it sits on top of the speakers. My daughter bought it for me because I was always complaining I can only listen to CDs in here. I want to listen to vinyl, and I listen to both. In fact, I just picked up a nice CD here this week, and it's Ozzy Osbourne, and it's the Essential Ozzy Osbourne.
Ooh.
And I love Ozzy. I mean, this has got everything on it from Crazy Train.
Me too. Yeah.
Crazy Train to Mama, I'm Coming Home and No More Tears. I mean, every great song he's ever done is on that two disc set right there. But you know what? I go to these vinyl stores and she wouldn't. I almost asked her if I could bring that little record player down and see if it would play past the scratch, but I didn't. And Anyway, so okay.
You know
Paulina,
what, Royce? It almost sounds to me like music keeps you sane. And that leads into Angela's comment, you know?
Yeah.
And all I can say, Angela, is, and there was a comment before, I forget who made it, that was almost the same thing as we've been talking. I've got to tell you, that is, and I am not kidding, it has kept me literally sane.
Oh,
My
I know.
Yeah.
Even doing this show with the music, I have gone out of sane and insane a few times doing the show.
Oh, well,
But
yeah.
anyway, I
But
do.
that
I
can
do,
be
I
a
do.
kind of a cool insanity. But I'm
Yeah, no,
talking about, there are times in my life I need the serenity, even of a metal album. I need
Yeah.
the serenity away from the world. It's healing to me,
Right. Music is very healing. I agree with that 100%.
Amen.
So anyway, Angela, so what have you been doing? I saw you, was it last night on Groovy Lisa's channel?
Oh, me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Paulina.
Yeah. So
Did I say Paulina?
you said Angela.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Okay.
Oh, no
So
worries.
But we're not confused.
I've been dying to do more stuff for my channel. It's been hard lately because I'm an activist out here in California, and we're in like a really big battle right now with rights of transgender youth. So it's
Okay.
like I haven't been able to focus much on my channel lately. But I'm hoping to get some time to make some videos because there's like a lot of things I really want to do. And
good.
if it's true that the blue and red albums will drop in about a couple of weeks, then I think I might do a video on that. And hopefully if it does come out a couple of weeks, then that becomes like a birthday present for me because my birthday is in about 2 weeks. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to celebrating that if that happens.
Right. That'd be great.
So
Well, I got to tell you, you're so knowledgeable and you have such a great presentation.
Yes, he
and
is.
the way you explain things that, you're going to just explode.
so stay tuned, people.
Yeah, we will. We will
Oh,
stay
we
tuned.
will.
Definitely stay tuned.
Somebody just mentioned the Dave Clark 5 in the comments, I noticed, and I just ran across this the other day. I forgot I had it. It was my radio station copy when I was in radio.
No, okay.
Of the Dave Clark's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Mono
that's
white
great.
label.
I have a Dave Clark 5 album also. They were huge. I mean, they rivaled the Beatles at one point. They were big. They had so many hits.
Same lane, yeah.
Same lane, yeah.
Yeah. But I hadn't thought about them for a while, and then I've run across an album on. That's what happens when you clean the shelves off, right?
Motley Fool is totally crude. Michael, you've done a number of shows on them.
Yeah, I've kind of laid off for the last couple of months, but I've been purposely doing it because that drama, Royce, has been still going on. And the reason is
Mick Mars and the rest of the band, yeah.
Well, you get to a point on a channel where you can burn a band out, and I think I'm about there with Foreigner right now, and I felt that way with Motley Crue. It doesn't mean I'll never talk about them again. It just means let's wait, and otherwise they would have been in every other video for the last 2 months. So I'm putting together a video right now that will kind of consolidate the whole damned story, for these morons.
I don't think I've ever heard you really talk down on their music so much. It was more their more recent tour, I think.
I have admitted that some of their early stuff was quite credible, and a few tracks even really good. Okay.
And I actually like them, and I have a little bit of their music too.
Yeah, I've just never liked the people in that band, and I didn't know much about Mick Mars. He was always the George Harrison of the group, kind of quiet, withdrawn.
He was a little older than the other guys too.
So I just thought he was a quiet moron.
just
And
a real professional, actually.
yeah, and so as I've covered the band, I've come to respect him a whole lot.
Right.
And I never doubted his guitar playing or anything like that. But there's actually a man of integrity
Yeah.
with Mick Mars. Now, the other three, I wouldn't give you a crap for. And this John 5 wannabe, you know? So anyway, that's what's going on with my channel, Royce. Thought I'd jump the line.
Yeah, well, I've been kind of jumping all over the place. You know, I did that red and blue Beatles album, the compilations, and they just kind of kept going with it. You know, Sergeant Pepper's a White Album, and now
I think it
Revolver.
was wise that you did,
And,
because you started something, and it's good to kind of see it through. You know, I
Yeah,
think
that's how
part
I'm
of this
feeling.
new
I
audience.
was going to take a break from it, but I think I'm just going to do a few more. You know, like I
Yeah.
said, you can see my backdrop. What's coming next week?
Yeah, this is a turntable I have, a project.
Oh, and that's gonna. Now, are you going to be covering? Because I missed the whole intro. Are you going to be covering the album, the movie, the or the remix, or all of that?
Are you talking to me or David?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd cover. Yeah, I'm going to watch the movie tonight when we're done here, and I'll probably watch it again before next weekend. And
Okay.
and I've seen it years ago, but I ordered that. I ordered that a couple of days ago. It shows up on Sunday, 3 days later from Amazon.
Yeah.
So I was.
It's
I
a
was
brilliant
pleased with that.
film.
But I really want to. I've got the album. I've already heard it, and I want to go through it a few more times. And I want to watch the film a few times. And that's just going to open up all kinds of doors and ideas for what the show's going to be like.
Do you have the '90s remix for the album, Royce, or access?
I
to it?
believe that's the one I have.
All right. Well, then, yeah. Okay.
Write that down. I want to.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
had the original,
Well-
it has like instrumentation only on the second side.
Yeah,
Like the
inside
George
too.
Martin stuff.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Which is interesting historically, but
yeah, but it's
you know,
not
okay.
Beatles per se.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly,
Right.
David.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was, first of all, I loved that film, you know, and despite all the criticism
Right.
that, you know, they got the accents wrong or the dialogue wrong.
Right,
I
right.
got the humor and dialogue are brilliant. They're freaking brilliant, you know,
Right.
and it only takes about 10 minutes to settle into the fact that it's not quite the Beatles' voices. All right. And then they're the Beatles. All right.
Right.
Somewhere between when Ringo is being followed by this damned yellow submarine and George comes out of his room and Paul with the book. Oh, I love the humor. I love the humor. It is so Beatle, you know, and the Beatles
Right.
had hardly anything to do with it, you know, but
Right.
what a brilliant piece of filmmaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, when the show's over, we're going to watch it. And it should
Sounds
be fun.
perfect.
Really looking
And
forward
that was just a preview, folks.
Yeah, it should
Tune
be
in
fun.
next week. Same bat channel, same bat time.
That channel. Yeah. Isn't that the
right.
truth? Jeff
Oh,
Davis,
Lord.
the Yellow Submarine movie is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Yes,
that.
it is, David. Jeff, sorry.
I like the Screaming Blue Meanies.
Yes. Oh, I love the guy. Yes, man. You know,
See you,
oh, he's
Angela.
so cloying, beautifully cloying. You know, and if you watch it enhanced, you know,
Good
that
night,
voice
Angela. I gotta
can take
throw
you
that
places.
out. Good night, Angela. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Good night, Angela.
Yeah, enhanced, right? You might have a couple.
No,
of
really,
enhancements
there's
laying
a-
around. I mean,
Because we would, in the day, that was the thing to do, is to get whacked out, your choice of whatever that was, and watch Yellow Submarine. Because especially and I belong to a hardcore group of about 4 friends who were as big a Beatle fans as me. And we got that humor. But when you would watch it in that way, it would cast a freaking spell on you, man.
Right.
and it still does.
Hey, I've
You know?
got to give a shout out to Dr. Rick. Good to see you
Yeah.
here, buddy.
Sorry,
Hey,
you're not
better
feeling
better
well.
late than never. Better late than never. We appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Get
Ooh.
well.
Yeah, I was missing you actually. So anyway, you're right. Everything you were saying, Michael. I mean, there was other movies like that, like Fantasia and stuff, a Disney movie
Oh,
that
yeah.
you figure the people that made that movie had to be on psychedelics. That there's no other way around it. You know.
Right. Oh, there's a whole story behind that too. As much as I'm a music fan, I'm a movie fan. I know about as much about movies as I know about music, but I'm
Okay.
not a movie maker. Right. The closest thing I've ever done to coming to a movie is my damn channel. Right. But other than that, I love movies. I could talk
Yeah.
days on movies, and you
I-
just mentioned two great films. Another Beatle film that's considered a great film is Hard Day's Night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It,
Oh, yeah. I love
movie critics will often put A Hard Day's Night, black and white as it is, as one of their top 10 multi-genre lists. When they have to pick the best music, the best drama, the best noir, the best, and they put those. Hard Day's Night's always on those lists. All right, so movie critics love the film just as a movie.
He's very clean.
Oh Lord. Uh,
You brought that up at just the right time, boy. Good timing.
was that right when John was taking that small little Coca-Cola bottle and sniffing it?
Oh no.
No,
Remember
that's
that?
he does that and he's like, you're a
Yeah.
swine.
Yes.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah, he's a swine.
Yeah, but see how underground they were? See how far ahead of the crowd that
Right,
got past
right.
the freaking, I almost said another word, censors, I mean, that was a cocaine reference in a 1963 movie. How the
Oh no.
freak did that happen?
There's a song
Well,
by
that's
Michael.
not-
There's a song by Michael Nesmith called "Magic," and he has a really nice video for its day. And right when he says the word paradise, he's sitting in a car, and it goes past a pair of fuzzy dice hanging. Paradise.
Perfect. I love purposeful synchronicity.
Yeah, right.
I do.
Agree.
Right,
I
right.
really do.
And he he did it all the time.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, folks, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, that's fine.
No, go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just
because
going to
I'll-
say, if you never watched any of Michael Nesmith's solo stuff, like Elephant Parts or Television Parts or any of, go to YouTube. It's called Video Ranch, and they got all his snippets. I mean, he had
Okay.
on Arsenio Hall and Jay Leno and all these people, Jerry Seinfeld, before they were big. He had them on those shows.
Yep.
Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, a genius, just a genius.
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah. I agree. And I'll tell you what kept me such a fan of him after the Monkees, because I'm a Monkees geek, was the song Joanne. I go, that's like Let It Be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a
Beautiful.
What? It's a masterpiece. That's a masterpiece single to me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite singles of all time. Right up there with Hey Jude, Let It Be. Whole Lot of Love, Joanne by Michael
Well, a
Nesmith.
lot of people don't realize he
You know?
wrote Different Drum by the Stone Ponies that Linda Ronstadt made
Oh,
popular.
yeah. Yep.
A lot of people
Yep.
don't realize he wrote that.
Top 3 Beatles songs.
Ooh,
Tall Trees is asking. Tall Trees 1. Thanks for joining us, Tall Trees.
yeah.
Really appreciate it.
That's a
Top
tough-
3 Beatles songs. That's really hard. Really hard.
Everybody goes dead quiet.
No takers.
Oh no, I was waiting for someone else. No, I got Eleanor Rigby, number 1.
I like that song too.
Yep. And then Strawberry Fields Forever.
Great song.
Right. And then at number 3, I had it just a minute ago. A Day in the Life.
Mm.
I was
all right.
gonna say A Day in the Life.
Okay, so and the reason I choose these 3 I hadn't thought about this in a while. That's why I was kind of waiting. What were my, top three? Uh, that is, first of all, Eleanor Rigby. We talked about this earlier. There's a whole lot more to the
great
Revolver album than we thought, historically speaking. It turns out Eleanor Rigby was at least 50% written by John Lennon as far as lyrics.
Look at this. Tall trees who asked the question listed a day in the life. I was going to say that first as well. I also love
Helter Skelter's number 4 for me, brother. Helter Skelter. All right, because that's the first heavy metal song. All right, but then from the Eleanor Rigby thing, so that it's a John Lennon, Paul McCartney thing. Now, even though it's primarily a John song, good. I don't know why I can't think of the name of this song tonight. Good Lord, what is it?
Called a senior moment.
Yeah, that's what happens when you turn 30. I'm ever since, a 31's going to be worse, Royce.
I know. Not looking forward to that at all.
But I'm talking about Strawberry Fields. All right. Paul McCartney's fingerprints musically are all over that. And of course, A Day in the Life, primarily, again, John. But Paul McCartney, without his middle eight and without that wonderful, wonderful piano, which I always thought was played by John. So this is McCartney and Lennon at their best. That's why. And of course, number 4, if you had asked number 4, I would have chosen Helter Skelter, and that would even it out into about a 50-50 split between Lennon and McCartney.
Chris Elliott says, "Guitar, while my guitar gently
weeps." That's hot.
I got to tell you, for me, that's a contender. That's a fantastic song. Eric Clapton played slide on that. Anyway, Paulina, you want to take a stab at your 3 favorites?
Yeah, so I put on the chat back in USSR, Here Comes the Sun. And
no, that's a great song too.
Ooh, honorable list here. I love it.
Oh yeah.
The reason why I choose those is because when I was about 4 or 5 years old, my dad gave me the Blue album on vinyl.
Nice, very nice.
It was missing the first disc, so I only had the second disc. So the first album was back in USSR, and I remember just loving it. And then you turn it around, and then you hear "Here Comes the Sun," and I'm like, "Wow, this is a beautiful song." And my dad also gave me a 45, and that 45 was "Nowhere Man."
Okay.
And
Here Comes the Sun is my favorite George Harrison song.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to interrupt.
So
go ahead. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
I was just going to say, every time somebody starts bringing up their favorites, I start putting into question my own list.
Mind.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that was my impression as soon as she said what she said. It was like, well, that's an honorable list.
Yes,
what can you do about it?
Nothing.
You can't.
Nothing.
They're the freaking Beatles, folks. You can name almost any 3 songs, and there's going to be an argument for it.
Yeah, right.
That's how talented they were.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
No doubt.
It's what these tracks do to you. That was what my list was all based on. What I want from them.
Sure.
Something, Penny Lane, and we can work it out, David. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I have to say that
songs there.
there's another song that I really love, and it's a very underrated song, and I think everybody is an amazing track. You Know My Name, Look Up the Number.
Yes. Love that track. Oh, I love that track. That's Paul McCartney's favorite Beatle track. He has stated that in many interviews. That is his favorite Beatle track. You Know My Name, Look Up the Number.
Yeah, but now there's no phone books. I don't get it.
I know.
Well, folks, I hate to say it because this is really fun tonight, but we've ran past our hour, and we're gonna have to shut her down for the night. We'll be back next week, every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You can set your watch on it. We'll be here every Sunday for you until we no longer exist. Okay,
that's true.
And anyway, so I want to
pretend there's a watch there, folks.
I know, same here. I stopped wearing them too, but I want to thank everybody.
Gotta have fun.
Paulina, David, Michael, thank you all so much. what an excellent crew here. And
I had a ball, each and every one of you. I really had a ball tonight.
Yeah,
You guys
did
were
too.
fun. Yeah.
And the chat, I mean, the chat is just off the chart. It wouldn't be nearly as fun without them, I think. You know, I just.
Oh, no, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I can't read them, so I wait for you to bring them up on the screen. It's my setup, folks. So if I haven't responded to something that you've said, it's just my setup here. That's all.
Right.
But when he brings like that, good night, Gary. I can read that.
Okay. Yeah, let's just try to get down through here because we've got so many great people. It's really
yes, Caitlin. Good night.
Appreciate
don't go
so much.
We love you, Caitlin. Okay. Everybody say we love you, Caitlin.
We love you, Caitlin.
We love you, Caitlin.
Take it easy.
All right, so thank you all very much, and we're
that'll teach you
how
to give me a hard time.
And that's what's going on in Royce's world tonight. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Check that email, Michael. Check that email.
I will. Thanks, David.
Take care.